Good morning. Welcome to Tarot Time and welcome to the Winter Solstice Portal. It opens today, and I'll explain where I came up with that. It's December the 7th, right? 2 weeks before the solstice. So I'll explain that in a minute. Of course, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, it's reversed. And it's Tarot Time, so we're going to look at the week ahead, check in with the energy, so do our energy update. I've got my tarot card, I've got some other divination decks to work with, and we'll do a transmission at the very end, a little mini energy transmission with the master teachers, depending on what comes through in our reading today, as well as to step into that stillness of that portal energy that we're coming into. So anyway, I will just check to see who's here and get started. So we have Felicia. Good morning to you too, and hello Suzette. Welcome, and Millie, and Brooke is here, and hi Marie Ann, and Kaya, and Suzette again, and Coyote Mooncrow. Welcome, Yolanda. And all right, and Roseanne's in. All right, so not too many people have found us yet. Hello, MDR. Welcome. And Karen S. Welcome, Karen Stewart. So people are finding us. That's good. So how is everybody? I think the fire alarm finally went off. There's been the alarms have been going off like all morning here. And did I see Josh? Yes, there's a Josh sighting. Good dawning to you too. Notice I've got a big cup of tea this morning, but Sunday morning is really my Saturday morning because I worked the last several days in a row, so I'm usually a little bit groggy. I'll put it that way. Hello, Phyllis. Welcome. And I don't know if I recognize your name, but welcome. And if anybody is new and you want to say hi and where in the world you are watching us from, that would be great. So again, what we do on our Sunday morning is kind of our community sort of hangout. So I will interact with you guys more than I normally do on live streams when I do the psychic forecast, for example. And we do our tarot reading. We do a meditation card to start out with to sync it with the energies of the week. We do our 3-card spread. I've got other divination tools, and we'll end with frequency channeling through the master teachers. So anyway, went on a winter wonderland walk yesterday. Snowed slightly, no wind, cold but beautiful. Yeah, yesterday was nice here. I think it hit about 40 degrees, and it was just 0 degrees a couple mornings ago. So that felt balmy, and it's supposed to go down to 0 again, I think, tomorrow night. So we're in that winter's early this year, but we told you when I don't know if any of you guys got to see the winter weather forecast that I did on the Medium channel, but we did mention that it's probably going to start out cold and hard and early, and we would have a real winter this year in the Northeast and pretty much the whole northern tier of the U.S. for that matter. And that goes into the Southeast, into the plains, even the Southern plains. And we also talked about maybe there being a freeze in Southern California sometime this winter. We'll see if that manifests, right? So anyway, we had the sun's been perking up a little bit. We had an M 8.1 flare, so a little bit shy of an X-class flare. Not from the big sunspot group, but from a smaller group. That one's remaining quiet. One more day, if we don't get anything in the next day and a half from that humongous conglomerate of sunspots that are pretty close to trans-equatorial, which is in a very dangerous spot for the Earth. If that doesn't happen, then we can breathe another sigh of relief. So anyway, and so today's the earliest sunset here in the Northern Hemisphere. Here in Phoenicia, it's 4:24 p.m. And then, of course, the actual winter solstice in the northern hemisphere is the actual shortest day. And then January 4th, 5th, right around then, that's the earliest sunrise. So that's why I'm counting this as the beginning of the solstice portal, because it's the earliest sunset. We're really going into the stillness. The length of the day is not going to vary for any more than about 3 or 4 minutes over the next month, basically the next 4 weeks. And so we're kind of in that place of stillness. And here in the northern hemisphere, it's the darkest days, so that way the inner light shines its brightest. So the still part, especially now, and even more powerfully from the 12th, which we'll do a transmission here on the Medium channel, of course, on 12/12. That really sets off that 12/12 to 12/21. That's really the heart of the portal, as it were. Of course, portals are just transitions from one energy to another. It's like a wormhole, right? It's sort of an opening into another energy level or another realm. So when these portals open in the winter solstice, that's a great time to go within. That aids us in our shadow integration work, which we really need, because the frequencies are so darn high now and keep getting higher that it's almost like naturally trying to help us to scour away all those old suppressed traumas and shadows from this and other lifetimes, which kind of keeps us anchored in a certain vibration. So if we're able to integrate those shadows, then we're much more free to ascend into higher vibrations. And certainly, the cosmic energy is supporting that also. I don't know if you guys also believe that Three Eye Atlas is some sort of a conscious being or entity. Um, on one level of reality, on a very base physical level of reality, I do believe it is an interstellar object. But now it's interesting. I may, if I have time, I may do another video on Three Eye Atlas, because I just saw um I think last week something on Stefan Burns's channel, um, and he mentioned something called the seed theory that was very interesting, because in interstellar space, it's not a total vacuum. Gas does exist in interstellar space. Now, every molecule may be like a couple meters apart, so it's extremely low pressure. And of course, it's 99.9% plasma, the fourth state of matter. But then it precipitates into simple gases. I think hydrogen, helium, basic, inert gas. So probably more helium. I have to study a little bit more of that. But its object being billions of years old, going through interstellar space, there are organic materials in interstellar space, and they actually studying I think the trans-Neptunian asteroids, the ones that go deeper into the solar system than the ones that exist in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. And just seeing that over time, organic material does form on it. And what's organic materials? Like the seeds of life. So in a way, now science is kind of saying, well, maybe this is alive or contains some level of life from an organic perspective. But of course, with the bright coma around it, nobody's actually been able to see what that interstellar object really is. I mean, it's probably very dense metals. I had a theory that there's a crystal grid in it, maybe some kind of carbon calcite or diamond even crystals forming in it. But whatever it is, we're starting to get more evidence that it's alive, and I do believe it's able to. It's through it's able to be a portal unto itself of collective or multi-dimensional consciousness that's really helping to bring new information into the conscious fields, the earth fields. And there's other comets that just converging right as Three Eye Atlas was making its closest pass to the sun, and then the earth on December the 19th. So this week we have what's going on. Neptune's going direct. Mercury's going to Sagittarius. But a little bit later on, this is where I need more tea. My thought came back. Thank you for bringing my thought back. On the 19th, it is an extremely important day. It's near the solstice, right? It's 2 days before the solstice. It's a new moon, so the sun and the moon are in conjunction. Three-eye Atlas is at its Earth's perigee, so three-eye Atlas never gets that close to the Earth. I think it's 1.4 astronomical units, or it's farther than we are from the sun. It never gets that close to the Earth, but it is its closest point. But the other interesting thing is that galactic center is about 28 degrees Sagittarius, and that's where the new moon's going to be, and that's when Three-Eye Atlas is closest to Earth. So it's just like this whole saga of this interstellar being or object. It's just like one 500 to 1 coincidence after another, and you add it all up. These are like beyond lottery odds. All this is happening simultaneously, and it's got to be some kind of a, I don't know what the right word is, message or sign that we really are in an ascension, that humanity really is coming into a new level, and it's somehow able to transmit information into the earth field. At least that's my belief. No proof of that. But it's interesting that science is really starting to recognize, maybe this does have some intelligence, and it's gathering these organic materials, and then it's passing, it went through its perigee. It's going into its perigee with the Earth. It went into the perihelion, its closest approach to the sun, and then come March or so, I think it's around March or April, the Earth's going to pass through the what would be kind of some of the outgas tail of the interstellar comet. So it's going to pass through in its yearly orbit, where Three-Eye Atlas is transversed, basically. Now, it's outside of the orbit of Earth, so it's not going to go into its direct debris field. But if it is like seeding, we're going to, some of those interstellar molecules, as it were, I don't know if I'm describing that right, can kind of get caught up into the Earth's atmosphere during its rotation. It's just very interesting stuff. I've got to study it more myself. So anyway, what do you guys have to say before we go into some tarot? I want to feel some heat also. Yeah, the sun is I'm thinking of what's her name, Joni Mitchell's song "Urge for Going." When she's talking about the autumn, basically, it's a beautiful autumn song. One of the lines is, "When the sun turns traitor cold," and I'm like, yeah, right, exactly. Although I have to say, if I can get somewhere, if the sun is bright, if there's no cloud, even though the sun's low, so it's not as hot as it is, other times of the year. And if I can get out of the wind, even if it's 40 degrees, I could take my shirt off and be comfortable just by the warmth of the sun. So yeah, let the sun come out. I'm today's my house cleaning day, but I have an hour I could spend in the sun if it came out. Maybe I'll just take a walk. So anyway, hello, Lindy. Hello, anybody else that's just came in? Luke Jazzy, welcome. Three-Eye Atlas is amazing. I agree. Nothing's coincidence, right? And at the very least, at the very basic scientific level, if you just think all this Three-Eye Atlas stuff is pure woo-woo and nonsense, at the very least, this gives us a glimpse into space before the solar system was even here, and glimpses into what it looks like in the inner galaxy, because they've been able to, through understanding the mechanics of gravity and all that, they've been able to plot its course, and it came from Sagittarius, right, galactic center, and so they're able to discern that, and just pretty amazing stuff, right? I had another thought that I lost in my brain. Hi, Josh. You don't have to be sorry for nothing, right? We love you. And Recently I bought my outside cat's warm cat house. Oh, good for you. Neither cat will go inside. Been enticing them with tasty food. No luck yet. All right. What else was I gonna say? Hi to cabin cats. Um. God, that's Jean-Luc's voice. Is that Jean-Luc Picard? Uh, Space, the final frontier. Yeah, I'm still pining away that I missed him in Shakespeare in the Park. I think this was 1998. Playing Prospero. It was like um, Patrick Stewart, such a quintessential Shakespearean actor. That's what he was known before Star Trek. He'd be perfect for the role of Prospero in The Tempest. Anyway, I lost that whole 3i Atlas, but I was talking about going through interstellar space, and yeah, it just picks up. During that travel, it just picks up like these particles that are dispersed in interstellar space. It's pretty interesting. So I think at the very least you can learn a lot about how what space really looks like. It's not a pure vacuum. There are gas molecules. There is plasma. It's very low density plasma, and I had this vision of 3i Atlas really existing within the plasma field, because plasma is just not just some inert field of loose protons and electrons. I mean, there's astronauts that are talking about like shapes that it makes. It's almost like it creates like sacred geometrical shapes. It shows some level of intelligence, and it is universal intelligence, right? That's where we came from, plasma. So here on planet Earth, free plasma it's not that common, on the surface, but in the upper atmosphere, there's a lot of plasma, and it basically precipitates into the other three states of matter: gas to liquid to solid. So, understanding, what plasma is, it's sort of like the clay that divine consciousness can create the beautiful tapestry that we know of as the universe. And it carries a resonance of spiritual intelligence, and that's really what I feel and what I observe. So it's interesting stuff. And of course, they form nebulas, that form stars, and that. And it would be wild if they discovered that the whole theory that the Earth was created from the sun was actually false, and it was just through a billion years of a constant buildup of the plasmic charges precipitating into matter. So I think in the next 10, 20 years, a lot of what they thought they knew about the universe is going to be rewritten as they get more information. Anyway, what do you guys have to say? Awesome. Safe travels. So safe travels where? Is that Josh going on some safe travels? Where are you going, Josh? Wait, are you going to Cincinnati? I know you mentioned that on your live stream that I got to see. Oh, you get to hang out with Jared. Give him a big hug for me before I move back to Cincinnati. So it's really happening. Congratulations to you. Yeah. Southern Ohio, interesting area. I think there's mounds there also, right? I know St. Louis is famous for having the ancient mounds. Somewhere in southern Illinois too, but somewhere I think I read that they were also in southern Ohio. I could be mistaken. I think you are a wise woman, Millie. That's what I think. And yeah, safe travels to Josh. Yes. WKRP, that was a good show. I still remember that show. Cincinnati's claim to fame, and Pete Rose also, I guess, if you follow baseball back in that day. All right, so we're gonna do a meditation card now. Being that it's tarot time, you might as well do some tarot, right? Anything else we need to talk about astrology? I think that's it. Yeah, we're coming to the winter solstice. We talked about that. 12-12 will do a transmission with the master teacher, just set and sync in with those energies. 12-21 will do another one, as we always do. So let me just clear my mind and do a meditation card now. Here we go. That's an interesting card. So this may be a powerful spirit guide, but meditating with tarot. This is the Hanson Roberts deck. This is the King of Rods, rods or wands. It depends on the deck. It's the same thing. And meditation is what? We get very present, open, and sort of free of our monkey mind, so to speak. So you get relax your shoulders, chin, forehead. That's a quick way to drop into a meditative state. The rest of the body will relax on its own if you're able to, hit those three principal tension points in the body. A few deep breaths. Then in your mind, just be aware of what you're feeling. Just be aware of the now without going into your intellect. Just be open and aware. What am I feeling? Gentle thoughts there. And then step into the card, be aware, set the intention to be aware of what you feel, how it's somehow different when you step into this new world or this new reality. And then you can meet this figure. This may be a guide. Usually with kings, it's really about things around leadership, confidence, those types of attributes, intelligence too, because it's air, but obviously leadership because it's a king. And wands is about energy, action, and sometimes career. So this guy may be helping you to understand how to what actions to take now in your life. So you can kind of have that kind of an intention when you go in, and see what you get. And of course, this is just the doorway or the window. There's a whole new reality there, filled with all kinds of scenes or aspects of the scene that you may not be able to see just in the card. So you want to go into that world and explore a little bit. There may be other guides, there may be animal guides. You may just get a direct connection with God, Yeshua or Jesus, Great Spirit, Buddha, whatever your belief system is. Spirit will always come to you based on your belief and understanding, because they want to guide us in the direction of truth. So, if you're a Christian and I'm a Jew, I might get a Yeshua coming through you. You might get Jesus, but it's the same energy. It's divine consciousness, it's Christ consciousness. Right? I meant to say Yahweh, not Yeshua. Well, yes, Jesus was a Jew, right? So either way, same powerful, powerful guide, right? Powerful teacher. So anyway, let's do a 3-card spread, but I want to take a look at what you guys have to say. Lindsay's saying yes, new beginning energy. Yep. Mary's saying great theme song. Is that KRP? I don't even remember the theme song, to be honest. I remember the theme song All in the Family very well. G.R.O. LaSalle rang great. Those were the days. I could be this voice. And here we get a little bit more energy. King of Wands, hit it and quit it energy. Narcissistic. Well, we don't want that. Needs incentive to stay. When am I boldly seeking? Strong hero energy. I don't think having a little bit of a balanced narcissism is necessarily a bad thing. Just being a narcissist is. And even that, I shouldn't even say that's a bad thing. It's technically a neurosis. It's technically a psychological disorder that's treatable. Lemon water, that's what I'm drinking, because it's a good time for cleansing, clearing, winter solstice. So lemon water helps to do that. It's not a bad idea to rinse your mouth out though, so the enamel on your teeth don't wear down if you do a lot of that. You guys, yeah, I bet you guys didn't know I could sing, right? All right. Anyway, love lemon water. Yes. Hello, Maya. Welcome, or Amy. Amy. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. I apologize. Um, and every artist has a good heap of narcissists. That's true. Yeah, part of the deal. But sometimes, yeah, balance is the key. I'm a Libra, right? So I appreciate the art of balance more than most. And I remember back, when back in my people pleaser day, do everything for everybody else, and somebody said, something, Adam, you could use being a little bit more selfish, and I'm like, oh, I think you're right. um, but then again, the other side of it is when it comes to my sense of freedom and not being controlled by others. I've always been very, very, I don't know if you would call it selfish, but I've always been very selfish that way. It drove my dad crazy with that. So anyway, there's different types of selfishness, right? But whatever. I remember some time, there's this guy that used to come onto my channel who had a channel years ago. He got into some kind of tiff about something. He was calling me a narcissist, and I was saying, well, thank you. If you really knew me, you would know that I could use a little bit more narcissism. And I kind of shut him up. It's like, that's if you get into an argument with somebody, they're trying to insult you, and you turn it around and take that as a compliment, that'll generally shut them up. Right? Because there's two sides to everything. There's a yin and there's a yang to everything, right? So let's do our 3 card spread. I'll stop rambling for a second, long enough to clear my mind at least. All right, so let me just clear my mind and ask Spirit to guide me to the right 3 cards to really get a good read on the energies this week that we will be dealing with. Oh, we did have a strong M-class flare. Did I mention that in the beginning? Yeah, I did. Okay. We'll see if there's any enhancement of the auroras. I think not tonight, but tomorrow night. I think maybe Tuesday. I think there's going to be another one before those sunspots leave. But I think the next pass, which will be the end of December into January, I think that if we get like a really big crescendo, I think it might be then rather than now. But who knows? It could happen now. It might be happening. We might be getting a double-digit X-class flare right now. If I start to go, wobble a little bit and get really dizzy, I might suspect that. All right. So, anyways, so I always say when it comes to spiritual work, and that includes pulling tarot cards, when you're thinking you're not connecting, when you're not connecting, you're thinking. When you're connecting, you're not thinking. When you're thinking, you're not connecting. So there's 2 ways of not thinking really about it. One is just clearing my mind and pulling the cards. And the second way is the way that I just did it. I was talking about something, not even thinking, just my hand was just pulling the cards. So anyway, it's interesting. 6 of Swords, 2 of Pentacles reversed, King of Pentacles reversed. We've got a lot of king energy, a lot of air energy. I'm trying to look at this. Peace talks might break down. I think that's what this might be telling me. Although this is a very peaceful card. And I kind of suspect it would, but then start up again. Because this feels actually toward the end, this does feel more diplomatic. So we may get some unrest overseas. I mean, probably Russia, Ukraine, but that's certainly not the only game in town when it comes to global conflict. The two could be connecting. It's reversed. Um, and and it just kind of feels like very unyielding and very stubborn energy. And I think what we may encounter in the world out there is that just people are just like almost like vacant. Like last week it was like feel like people being very angry and scared. This week it feels more like vacant. I don't know how to better describe the feeling that I'm getting. It may just be that because there's different levels of programming, some of it's through technology, AI. If you use Chat GPT, it's a good idea to balance the energy or really anything online because it's all energy and frequency. And though I don't have proof of this, it's just an intuition and a feeling and kind of common sense, maybe in a way. But because different frequencies have different effects on our brainwave pattern, they can use subtle frequencies through Wi-Fi, through cell phone, through different websites. Just like back in the day when they were doing subliminal advertising, like flashing the popcorn sign, but too fast for the eye to see, but the mind picks it up at the movies, and then popcorn sales goes up about 20 or 30%. So it's a similar principle, but now it's more sophisticated because they can target like certain frequencies or energetic wavelengths of the signals, because Wi-Fi, what is Wi-Fi? It's I think high radio and microwave. It's light, it's radiation basically. It's got a frequency. So there's ways of hacking that in order to affect our frequency. I mean, this is my belief anyway. I'm not a what field of science would that be? Wave mechanics, a branch of physics. I'm not an expert. I'll put it that way. But I think it just feels like a good retreat time, which is very succinct with the with the season also. And in tarot, the swords is autumn, and the pentacles is winter, and the six of swords is transition. It's peaceful. Um, it's kind of like move. I mean, some of us may be moving, but it could be movements in consciousness. And this card reminds me. I don't know if anybody here is into a prog rock band. I mean, they were mostly from the 70s. They've been doing music for a while called Vandergraaf Generator. I'm sure most of you have heard of them. But the lead singer, Peter Hamill, is a very interesting singer-songwriter, very talented. And he has a song called Rubicon. And one of the lines in that song is, when you cross the stream, you never can return. If you stay, you'll surely burn. And I've used this metaphor before, but in this figure, it's like the figure has his swords here. He's paddling to a new shore. I mean, he doesn't look upset. It just seems like it's time. And the feeling that I get is like, we know that we can't go back to where we were, but a lot of us don't know where we're going yet. We're just kind of crossing this river of consciousness. We know we can never return to where we were. That's not an option, but we don't know quite where we're going yet. And we have to sort of rely on our own intuition as well as guidance from spirit. So, so the using your own power or your own will, that's the paddling, because water represents emotions. That's like paddling, but then there's currents in the water that a paddle, like if you're in a canoe and you get caught in a pretty strong current, you're kind of at the mercy of that current also. So there's that combination of things, kind of going to this new land, not knowing what to expect. So this is a time that we don't have to have all the answers, but we do have to have faith and trust. And once you are really get to that point where you've been doing your spiritual work, doing your presence work, feeling your heart opening, and you feel great spirit or God or source, whatever word, the quantum field, once you feel that and you make that connection, and I can't describe it any better than that, um, you just know that you're being guided. It's like for me, when I get to that place, any fears of the future that I might be holding in that moment just kind of dissipate, because I know that I'm being guided. I know there's a spiritual purpose. And I think that we just have to really sometimes remind ourselves of that, because on face value of things, you wouldn't necessarily know that. And a lot of people that don't believe in a God will look at the world and say, well, if there's a God, why are there people hungry? Why are there people fighting? Why this, that, and the other thing? And it's like, I don't have your answer, because you're not wrong, in that perspective. I'm seeing the same thing, but at the same time, this is just the classroom. This is just like what we've collectively manifested in this 3D reality. And and I find, with myself and a lot of people, no matter how bad things get, somehow something happened to get us through it. And there is a higher force and purpose. So, in other words, we really have to get out of that place of just taking everything on face value and connecting with those higher dimensions, starting with opening our hearts, and that opens the brain, and that opens us up to spirit, and really just feeling that energy that everything really is perfect, even if it appears to be a mess in our 3D lives, and to keep that faith no matter what, which isn't always easy to do. So yeah, again, the 2 pentacles, that's the juggler. Some of us may be thinking about 2 different paths, 2 different jobs, 2 different locations. This could be about moving. I know Josh talked about moving, maybe a couple of other you that are on now, because these readings could happen to you. You're like personally, our community, or what's going on out there. And the King of Pentacles, I mean, I almost get this as what's her name? Not Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel. Then there's also, when they're saying that, they're saying Ukraine also. There may be problems in some of those leaders. I don't think it's showing them necessarily stepping down yet, but there may be something that comes up around that area. Generally, because Donald Trump is a Gemini, he'd show up as the King of Swords, but not necessarily. For those of you that may be secretly hoping, oh, is that Donald Trump stepping down? Never say never, but I don't think, not yet anyways. And if you watch my December psychic forecast, I provided some insight into what may be going on. Everything's fluid when you talk about the future based on the now, but based on the current timelines, I gave a fairly detailed forecast of what I feel like might happen with the Donald Trump presidency, the politics here in the U.S. and global politics and stuff like that. And suffice it to say, to take it to a general level, it's all changing, and people will be stepping down. Leadership will be changing. It's crumbling from the inside out, but we also have higher level beings in high levels of governments here and in other countries, light workers, maybe starseeds or extraterrestrials in human form. But we do know that we have those agents of change and consciousness that are helping humanity to ascend and evolve, working from within. So it's like the system is being kind of being full, and like the tower is being what's the right word, dismantled, from the foundation, from the inside out, as well as the outside. And I just got this image of a white angel that popped in my mind. Usually I associate the white with Gabriel, or it could be, I think it's actually Metatron. And if Metatron's coming through, this would be about connecting more with Christ consciousness. After all, it is Christmas, and Yule coming up. Yule is the birth of the sun god. Christmas is the birth of the son of God. So we have that energy of rebirth and of high levels of deity or spirit or God, being reborn around this time, or born. I guess Easter's more the resurrection. That's being reborn. This is just being born. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. And I think this is also about possibly unfavorable economic news, but we need economic news to be less than favorable. Otherwise, what's going to change, right? The rich will keep getting richer, the poor will keep suffering, prices will keep going up, and all that. And we live in the world like we have the technology, the know-how to feed everybody on this planet 10 times over, yet more than half the world is hungry, but it'll all exist. We have the technology and the know-how to have free energy, not have to rely on these flimsy wires that may go out for a month or two if we do get a Carrington-esque solar flare event, or other things could cause that. Even a supernova could cause that, like something from another star could knock out the grid. And we built up the society with satellite technology. Now I know the newer satellites have better shielding, so that's a good thing, because there's recognition that the magnetic field is weakening. And I think what I read is that it's 15% weaker now than it was in 1859 during the Carrington event. I would argue it's more than that, honestly. And I also read somewhere else that since the 2003 big event, that the auroras were white, which is extremely high energy. White auroras are exceedingly rare. It's all white, a little bit of green, and then red would come and go. On It's late October in 2003 here in the Catskills, and it's so bright I could have read a book. I could have sat outside and read. That's how bright the auroras were, and they shot clear into the southern sky. And how it wasn't worse than it was. It did cause a lot of damage, but how it wasn't worse, I don't even know. I think there is a God. I think that's how it wasn't worse. But today, 3 years later, the it's estimated the magnetic field about 10% down from that. So if we had a similar event, it would be a whole different story. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But I do believe, from what I heard, that the newer satellites do have a better shielding mechanism. Yeah, in case there is a huge flare. We'll see if it happens, if that's true. But anyway, so let me do some other divination stuff. And let me actually, before I even do that, what do you guys say here? Hello, Laura, Lakeside. Thank you. You are powerful. Either that's me or somebody in the comments, but we're all powerful, so we can all take that. Hello, Truth Wave. Victor, hello. Amanda, welcome. Yeah, it's like our friendship, right? Our little community, get together here. Some point, once I get my act a little bit more together with things in my own life, we should probably figure out something to do. Maybe I was thinking maybe a medium channel excursion to Sedona or something of that nature. No, maybe we could twist Lily Nova's arm and have her do for the medium channel. I'm being a dreamer here, I know, but do like a retreat just for us, basically. But something like that would be kind of fun, right? By the way, if you guys don't know Lily Nova, check her out. Lily Nova Starseed, brilliant young lady. And speaking of brilliant people, if you haven't found Stefan Burns's channel, the geophysicist, and it's funny, they're like the same age range. These are like what the crystal children, that are grown-ups now, or the indigo children, because it's kind of like these young people are just so freaking brilliant. It's just like mind-blowing. But in any event, check out Stefan Burns. If you have any inkling towards like cool space stuff, and this is a somebody that's a scientist first, and I respect that, but he's also spiritual. So in his live stream, he may do some crystal balls to help you to sink in with the energies of the earth changes and stuff like that. So I had my awakening in 78 in college. Well, my shaking. I'm still in the process of awakening, so I don't want to, get ahead of myself a little bit. But I had the initial shaking. That's when all of a sudden everything was the same yet different. And I started to just to cry and just say, everything I've learned up till now is a complete lie. Now I need to learn the truth. And like the tears were flowing. And that's when it all began. But I read a book called The Tao of Physics, which is great, and it really opened my eyes. And this is in the 70s, and he's talking about the author. I forgot his name, Kadshaw or Kadj. I can't remember his name. I'll have to look that up. But it's called the Tao, Tao, The Tao of Physics. And he just said, the book, how quantum physics, we're going to prove what the ancient masters have been teaching us all along. So, and I think we're starting to get in that generation, pioneers like Stefan Burns, who's a scientist, but who's spiritual, is helping to bring in this new world, so to speak, this new energy that science really is spiritual. And that's really what it is. I think that's why science, that's why science came about. We want to prove if there's a God or not. We want to prove like consciousness. We want to understand from a intellectual perspective what goes on here, what makes everything tick, and how that relates to spirits. In the book, they just said all that the ancient masters are teaching us, as we learn more about science, they're going to be proved, and rather than debunked. And a good example of that, and I'll move on to other divination cards. We do a lot of spontaneous rapping here, and I need more water. Because in my exuberance, I lost my train of thought there. Maybe I'm supposed to move on anyway. Wait, the spirit going to, I think MO is Montana, yeah. Anyway, we're talking a little bit about, I can't even remember what I was saying. It's kind of, sometimes brilliant people cannot, that's true, yeah. Well, Stefan Burns can teach, although he gets very technical sometimes. So, I mean, I have my background in meteorology, so I can kind of understand what he's saying anyway. Hey, Janice, welcome. Even the Day of Love and Energy, they already did that at Woodstock, but Sedona is a dream, something close to summer camp. Well, I'll probably in January, I'll have some details on Spirit Fest 2026. And I'm glad you found us also. I don't know what you disagree with, so you can elaborate with that. Oh, thank you, Mill. Yeah, we have a good time with our retreats. I lost that train of thought. Darn it! I was going somewhere with that, and it completely left me. I think Spirit's just saying, "All right, let's do some more divination stuff." We've almost been on 15 minutes. Once we get to an hour, I want to do the transmission. Country, some people can keep flying. Yeah. Not everyone's bag to teach. Yeah, exactly. Not all brilliant people are good teachers. That I definitely agree with. Let's do medicine cards. It's gonna bother me when I have something I want to say, then somehow I forget it because I'm saying something else. Oh, it drives me nuts. The joys of getting older, right? Anyhow, the gist of it is that it's oh yeah, they came back to me. So a good example is like there's the Native Americans. This is a Native American. It's the medicine cards. Once upon a time, believed that tornadoes were entities. They were conscious beings. And then science, eventually proved, well, tornadoes, they're clashing air masses. There's moisture, there's wind shear, there's change of winds and velocity and direction with height. If it aligns up a certain way, it creates a rotation. And if there's a strong enough updraft, downdraft, that'll pull that to earth and create the tornadoes. But just because we know the scientific mechanisms, to me, that does not make it any less than an entity or a consciousness. And I think that's really, this time, like scientists are sort of debunking all the spiritual stuff, but as it progresses, it's going to validate it. That's the point I was trying to make. Um, um, so about my next retreat event, what I want to do, and after the holidays, I'm going to really look into this because I want to do like a 4-day, not just a weekend retreat. I want to find a place that's a little bit more like, that feels a little bit more like out there. Like the spot that we did is nice, really nice facilities up in Lanesville, New York. Lori Saluzzi's place. She's a friend. I get a good price, so I can pass the savings on to you guys. People that got the early bird specials are doing, including accommodations, retreats, weekend retreats for $400, and I'm happy to be able to pass the savings on. But it might be a little bit more money, but I want to get a place that's more like out there because I want to really be in nature and be in a situation, because the Lanesville house is only 5 miles from my house. So if we get a different place, it won't be like I'll be going home every night and coming back in the morning. I'll be sleeping with you guys. We'll be hanging out at night. That'll be more of a retreat than the retreats we've been doing, if that makes sense. So we'll let you guys know in the next couple of months how that manifests. I really want to do that in the Catskills or this area. I mean, there's places around the Shawangons and the Hudson Valley that are very nice also. And then, at some point, we can maybe, for our inner circle on the Medium channel, think of, let's do a retreat. Let's find a teacher. If it's not Lily Nova, we'll find somebody else. And we'll all like go to a retreat together, or either that, or I could be one teacher. I mean, we could do that, something Colorado, right? Well, I say with Josh, but he'll be in Cincinnati, but maybe he'll be back in Colorado. And Jared, imagine, the three of us leading a retreat, the three amigos. That would be pretty cool also. So anyway, back to the medicine card. So this would be our totem animal. Let me clear my mind. This is the card they wanted me to take. Black. We've gotten this one before. Black Panther, these big cats. Black is of the night, so you can look at the symbolism. Big cats, they're apex predators, right? So the top of the food chain. They're the leaders. They're about pride. They're about strength. They're about overcoming the lower nature. And Black Panthers are indeed black, right? So that's about the hidden, because we're in the season, we're in the autumn, we're in the season of the sunset. Then we come into the season of the night. That's winter. So this totem animal may be able to help give us the strength and the courage to dig deeper into our own subconscious shadows that are very much rooted into our core. So sometimes we have to metaphorically, what's the word? Eradicate. When you pull something out from the roots, we have to eradicate sometimes these shadows, because they become intertwined in our core being. That's how powerful the shadows can be. So this is a strong totem that you can work with to go into the next higher level of your shadow integration work. Anyhow, big kitty, meow. And you know what? If a cat becomes used to human, I don't care if they're a lion, a leopard, or a little Persian cat. A kitty's a kitty, and people that are domesticated big cats, they still like their neck scratched. There's still a semblance of purring. There's still that feline behavior. I believe, and based on what I feel intuitively and what I've seen, being a Lyran, Starseed, and Arcturian, I do believe that it's true that the gift of feline came from the Lyran star system, or constellation. Vega, I think, is the planet that's cited as where the feline people are from, and I do believe that. Anyway, that's the Black Panther. So let's do. Let's see what Kyle Gray has to say today. So this is the um, Divine Masters Oracle of Kyle Gray, who's a fellow Kundalini yogi and a very powerful teacher from Scotland, I believe. Is it Scotland? My Scottish accent could use some work. I'll tell you, speaking of Scottish accents, if you ever watch the film Train Spotting, old like 90s, I think it's like an indie film, and you can understand what the freak they're saying because they're all in Scotland. You were Scottish in a past lifetime. That's all I have to say. All right. So anyway, got my card. My hand went right to it. I love when I feel the pull. Then I know Spirit is guiding me. This looks powerful. I don't know who this is, this Ascended Master is, but he looks powerful to me. And he is El Moria. I think we got him once before. El Moria, spiritual force field, protective light is surrounding you. You are safe. So when you I put that Black Panther back in the deck. But funny, I also found a mountain lion in there, another big cat. So while that Black Panther's leading you through your shadow integration work, Moria, I think that's the pronunciation, can work with you to assist in creating that spiritual force field, that protective light around you, so you can be safe when you delve into those shadows, right? So that just a reminder that the world's changing. I mean, I know everybody's of a different resonance. Everybody has a different soul mission. So when somebody like me says, you'll always be safe and protected, you can look, well, what about the people that just got rounded up by ICE, tortured, and sent back to their countries? Well, we're still safe and protected, and they are to some degree also, but we all have our different soul missions, and sometimes we have to keep that perspective that things happen, they need to happen. It's all part of the balance, all part of the ascension. And there are ways of connecting with higher light and higher energies to enhance that natural protective field that we all have. It's just part of our birthright as spirits and human experience. Let's see. Here's me do our frequency of the week. What else are you guys saying? Josh may have, especially if Josh has this deck, he may have gotten that too. So the remote island called Vialia off of Sheltland, Scotland. So they probably had the accents there. They do that. Yeah, you got what I said. Oh, heading to Scotland in June. Yeah, very Sikh. Yeah. When I had my huge heart surgery, Spirit gave me an Indian Sikh as my surgeon. I mean, could that have been more perfect? And it's like I was going under, and he's just remarking how well I did in surgery, that my heart started to stop. There's next to a full on transplant. It was the most involved heart surgery. I had a aneurysm burst in my heart and heal itself. Basically, the outer aorta held, which the surgeon said was literally impossible, but not literally because it happened, right? But he didn't really word it that way. He just said that God has a plan for me. That was his only comment on it. But in any event, I did like when I went under, I did a Kundalini chant, and he said, he felt like my spirit was guiding him. My heart started on its own. He took that as a sign to just, finish up, close me up, and everything. And when I told him that, his eyes grew really wide. He's like, "Oh, what mantra were you doing?" And I said, "Oh, it's a very basic one. Satanam, Satanam, Vaheguru, Vaheguru." He's like, "Do you know what that means?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's taking God as your true identity." He was like, yes, but. And then for 10 minutes, he explained more about that mantra. Of course, it was the day after major surgery. I was on a morphine drip. It's like I really didn't retain that information, but it's still, Spirit works in mysterious ways, right? So our frequency of the week, according to the what I pulled from the sacred geometry deck, is passion 34. And believe it or not, I do mix these cards up, so we do get a lot of repeats. I don't know when we got passion. That, you know what this looks like to me is the chronographs that you see with the sun when they show you the solar flares. You check out Stefan Burns' channel or Space Weather News, and sometimes they show it there also. What's the lady's name? She's really good. The space weather lady, Tamayika, Dr. Tamayika, or something like that. She's really good. But this reminds me of that full halo eruption. This would be, if this showed up on the chronograph, this would probably be a double-digit X-class flare. So hopefully we're not going to get that this week. But because our magnetic field is weaker, because the sun is still very perky, we're still, even though we're starting the descending phase, all the comets and their dusty plasma coma, with 3 Atlas leading the way, it's keeping the sun pretty energized, and I believe extending solar maximum a little longer than it would. I think after January, we're going to really come into earnest in that descending phase. And sometimes in the beginning of the descending phase, you see a lot of those trans-equatorial coronal holes that we've been getting. So, it's in a lot of transition. So anyway, I just got that from this card. But what it says is, the frequency of passion reminds us that beneath every intense emotion lies the hidden gem of insight, balance, and calm. It assists us in finding the balance within this intensity, moving us from chaos to the calm of its core, where we can let its long-lasting wisdom fill us up. And this is what the card looks like here. So you can kind of get a little bit of the energy just by sort of gazing in the middle and just sort of absorbing that. And it's just saying, it's an interesting perspective. Do you think of passion that's like high emotions? Now, passion can flip into anger or something else if it's out of control, but there's that calm core, and within compassion, that's the lion's share of the word compassion, right? So it's almost like you might think of them as different, but in a way, it's part of the same, if that makes sense. Sometimes you can get clues of things in language also. So anyway, that's what I have. So anyhow, who do we like watching? Victor? I haven't done one of Victor's meditations in a dog's age. Next time it comes up on my feed, I'll be there. Tamitha Skov, thank you for sharing that. She's very amazing. I think she only does her once a week, but yeah, you have to be a little bit of a nerd, but I am a science nerd at heart. I'm a meteorologist turned medium, basically. More fire energy. It's the year of the horse. Yes, the year of the horse. That should be a good year. Yeah, we had the dragon. That was a great year. I love dragons. Where's Brooke? I think she's still on our dragon channel. And then the year of the snake. That's what we're in. Shed that skin. We have a couple more months. Do that shadow or shed that skin, because you don't want to have too much weight. If you have all that weight of all this heavy skin, of all the traumas and the shadows, you try to get on that horse, you're going to weigh that horse down too much. You ain't going to go too far. So shed that freaking skin already, all those shadows from this another lifetime. That way, when the year of the horse comes, you can ride off into the sunset, basically, right? So horse medicine is really, really powerful. And I'm sure in the Oriental system, it's equally as powerful as it is the natives. Because when the horses were introduced into the Americas, the people, all of a sudden, they had the freedom to explore more land. So it was a sign of empowerment, because it gave them the power to expand their horizon. It also led to some, native, wars. That's the other side of it. Territorial battles, but that's really just part of working things out and expanding community. But on the positive end of that, it did expand community, and different nations joined and what's the right word? Got together, collaborated. That's the word I'm looking for. So, what do you guys say? We've been on an hour and 5 minutes. Let's do a transmission. If anybody would like to take this on, everybody that watches, that's part of the Medium channel community, the expanded community, because it's your community also, not just mine, right? That has channels, and some of the recommendations that we make here, like Stefan Burns, Lily Nova are a couple of examples. And you want to have a list, and next Sunday have that for us. That would be awesome. And King is doing great. That's what we like to hear. Wow, 8.5 miles. Wow, that's quite a ride. Yeah. Hello, Jill Clark. So we're gonna you find that niche, that spot that no one's doing. That's why Stefan Burns is so successful, because there was an open niche for his gifts. That science, that space weather, geology, combined with spirituality. So he really slotted in and really got that going. So anyhow, in this transmission where we do some toning, it's almost like I don't play crystal balls, so they use my voice box to get those resonant sounds to help us with our ascension and to help us. And this will be about shedding the skin, right? This will be about going into the shadows. So while we're doing this, maybe visualize, you have the Black Panther right on your shoulder there. Maybe, on the left shoulder. On the right shoulder, you have the horse, because we're coming to the year of the horse. We read left to right. Most of us read left to right. If maybe if you read Hebrew, if you're Russian, it's opposite for you. But just because that's really part of our programming, I guess, for lack of a better word. Left, we come from the left and we go to the right, because we read left to right. So left can be the past, right can be going to the future. So imagine that especially that Black Panther's there, and let's see where this goes. So we work with a group I call the Master Teachers. They blend with my energy, so it's sort of a blending. It's a form of channeling, I guess, but it's a light trance. It's conscious channeling, and mostly it's an energetic. So if you're able to just relax, breathe, and just synchronize with the sound of our voice, so you relaxing and taking it in, then the Master Teachers will work with your higher self to enhance and increase your energetic flows and frequencies. Also raise the frequencies, increase the velocities. So just relax, feel your shoulders relaxing, and your chin and cheeks relax, and forehead relaxing. And I feel like we need to put a little extra energy in the shoulders. So maybe I'm feeling our collective energies now. Sometimes the shoulders get very tense when we feel a lot of responsibility, weight on our shoulders. And we can always give everything back to Source, back to the universe, back to the earth, back to God, whatever it is. These are energetic reservoirs that will transmute anything that's of a so-called negative resonance and turn it back to pure positive energy. So just giving any tension back to the earth, back to the universe. Greetings, dears, and yes, we are the interdimensional force of nature, as it were, of the collective fields, and known by this channel as the Master Teachers. We go by many names. It's arguable and quite accurate, we might add, to talk about us being part of the channel's higher self or higher being or higher consciousness, as well as your own. So we are all connected, we are all one, and we are all safe. and understand that we are all safe. Yes, there may be financial ups and downs. There may be issues where you have to change your routines. There could even be injuries to the body, but you are always safe and protected. You're a divine spark of the divine creator, and nothing is going to happen to you. One day you will leave the body, and you will know beyond any human doubt that you are and always have been one with divine source, one with spirit, immortal, and that no harm can really come to you. It's only in the matrix, in the shadow existence that you are in right now, where we shouldn't even say that you are in right now. Yes, we should say that your attention is drawn to right now, because you are really multidimensional. You really exist in all times, in all spaces, in all bodies. This is just where your soul has landed you for your best lessons right now. And it ain't easy. We understand that. Just imagine for a moment, you're just very relaxed. All the tensions of your physical world are gone. You're lying in a beautiful hammock, supported by 2 palm trees right by the water. The beautiful smell of the sea air, the beautiful warm shade, light breeze. And know that you are in the arms of the divine. As you go deeper and deeper within your own being, it can be a terrifying journey. Some people are worried about the horrors of war, which is understandable in the physical domain, the horrors of illness. Yet don't realize that their biggest fear is going within and discovering the truth about themselves. Why is that the biggest fear, you might add? Because it necessitates ego death, which the ego and the body are aligned. In fact, the body is the ego are intimately connected. So if you go deeper into your core and uncover all the horrors, as it were, of past lives, past deaths, things you witnessed that are far more ugly than anything that's happened in this lifetime. Of course it's scary, of course, especially because it's unknown. That's why you have the Black Panthers, your totem now, to give you that strength and courage to go within into these dark, terrifying places, and understanding that, yes, indeed, even that too came from God or divine source. And that you uncover the mysteries of the soul, you uncover the reasons that you're here, and you transcend the physical and come into a higher vibrational version of yourself, multi-dimensional or 5-dimensional, 5th dimension, if you will. So we are raising the frequencies, as we often say and do. Relax and breathe, and take a journey into the center of your being now. We will assist. Relax, breathe, allow. And with you now, besides the Black Panther, is a white phoenix, assisting you in your initiation. In the physical life, death is the fear of the body. This is why it's hard to meditate. Because when you stop those thoughts, the body registers as something unfamiliar, death. This is why The internal journey is more terrifying than anything you'll encounter in your physical body. But here's the mystery. The ego does not die. The ego never dies. It gets integrated back to the spirit, back to the wholeness and totality of your being. Absorb that information. Know that you will never die. For when you lose the fear of dying, you lose the fear of living. This is one of the channel's bylines, yes? You lose the fear of ascending, of being greater than what you ever thought you were. Lose the fear of scrutiny, lose the fear of being, shall we say, harmed or insulted by others. All of that vanquishes. You eradicate the deep, deep-rooted traumas of this and other lifetimes. You feel like you're going through the portal, through the solstice portal. The portal of the darkness where the inner light shines its brightest. Your Black Panther on your left. Beautiful, beautiful horse on your right. And the white phoenix at your heart. And the wolves have come also, the teachers. This is your divine collective that's attracting all these magnificent beings. Not us. This is you. We are a reflection of you. Collectively and individually to some degree. Hold the space. And in these energetic transmissions, we raise the frequencies, increase the flows, and allow you to, shall we say, energetically match the frequency of the portal. So you can step in, you can vibrate at the same frequency or an octave frequency, a compatible frequency might be the better way of describing that. In order to integrate and transcend all limitation. Relax, breathe aloud. We are raising the frequencies. Just relax, breathe, allow the energies flowing through you to start to ground. You can visualize roots extending through your center line, down through your root chakra into the earth. The base of your auric fields, open the tailpipe that allows any excess or static energy to release back to the earth. Take a couple of deep breaths. When you're ready, open your eyes. Short but sweet, like me. And but that was strong. I can definitely I feel it, and I'm sure some of you felt it also. So anyway, if all goes well, Tuesday we will have the winter psychic forecast uploaded to the Medium channel for the rest of December through into March. And on 12/12 we'll have a live stream. So and by the way, if you guys want to go deeper, we're sort of changing the format a little bit of Spirit Mind Family. It's kind of the same, tweaking it might be a better word, and really making that's the Patreon group. That's our inner core. And we're going to really make this just really a hub for ascension work, really focus on that because it's the time. And as a result, instead of maybe doing monthly themed, I'll have like weekly channeling session, and I'll do videos of channeled messages and that kind of a thing, and still do the monthly meditation. So it's really going to be really much more hyper focus on the ascension process that we are in. So just a natural upgrade. So anyway, if you want to join it, it's on Patreon. It's called Spirit Mind Family. Only $5 to join. So it's very, very inexpensive, and you get probably somewhere between $70 to $100 worth of services per month for that $5. So we want everybody to be happy, right? And happy, healthy, whole, and free, and more aligned to source. Other than that, we'll have yeah, I think that's it for the week. There's probably something I'm forgetting, but anyway, I'm going to end now, and thanks everybody. Thank you. And we'll just say a quick goodbye to Josh soon. Yeah, you too. Have a great Sunday, and all you beautiful souls. Thank you for being here, and the 33 of you that stuck it out for the process that we did. Thanks for that also. Love to you. Have an amazing day, everybody. May the force be with you.